join Kyyberi to the 1-month journey to Solver World.
Yo, testing, and it should be working. Um, Welcome to the first PLO Visions Quiz ever. In the first few words, what is PLO Visions and what is going on? So the idea is that for this 1 month of June, I'm focusing on the solver strategy, and at at the starting point, I have idea what solver strategy is, but I haven't paid too much attention to it. And after this 1 month, I should have a pretty good idea about how Solver wants to play, and then compare that how we probably want to add macros, and then find an optimal conclusion. Can or more of how can we use Solver strategy at macros. I'm still a bit sick, voice is cracking down, but we can manage. And with the Visions Quiz, PLO Visions is a software that lets you explore how Solver wants to play. And you can use either a learning tool, set a specific spotlight, monotone boards with different hands and frequencies, or easy to use, ready to get started, practice mode, where Visions gives you situations you have to decide would you fold, check, or bet, or raise. So what is your action? It gives you the board, it gives you the hand, it gives you the opponent action. What will you do? And let's see how many I could write. We tried this before. I got 1 out of 5. So let's see if today is a better day. And we can do 10 or 20. Let's see how it goes. And just see how many points I get. And use that the starting point. And then at the end of the tune, I hope there will be better points. Um, I don't have any way for you to join and give answers, so it would automatically calculate points. The creator of PLO Visions, Rules Poker, he hosts these quizzes every now and then on his channel. Definitely should check it out. He has scripted a bot that calculates points. I don't have it. We could do it manually, but for the first time, uh, not going to do that. So all you can do is you can type in chat what we do, or just think it in your head. And I would say what I think Solver does, what I would do at macros, and then hopefully we will get some nice discussion about what the hell is going on. But here's the first point. We are here as a preflop opener, and the stack size is 193. It means 100 BB stacks, because Solver uses these half a BB measurements, so it can calculate the small blinds too. So these are 100 BB stacks. So all the numbers are half a BB. So the pot here is 8.5 BBs. So we open king 977, and then the flop is jack 8-6. What would you do? And do we check or do we bet 3/4? And definitely, if I would play this hand now at PLO 10, I would check, because the board is not good for c-betting. We have open-ender, backdoor flush draw. But I don't know if Solver wants to bet these blockers to straight draws. Probably not. I hope the Solver wants to check. Yay! So here's the overall frequency being out of position on this board. Checking 91% of hands, betting 9% of hands, and king 977 hands. So if the king 977, here we can see that if it was double suited to hearts and spades, then it would be 50-50 checking or betting. And there it would definitely bet almost always if the hard draw was a Broadway. Broadway means from King, Queen, Jack, or then. So if this was double suited to the King, it would bet. The thing is that if it's only suited to the hearts, even with the King of Hearts, it would be bet 37% of times. But I got 1 point. Oh yeah, there's a counter down below that tracks my points. And we don't have delay now, so feel free to comment. Second one. We are out of position. We have ace king then 7. Flop is king jack 9 monotone. And opponent decides to bet 1/3 of the pot. Well, the thing is that probably at micros I would bet the flop depending on the button. But his range is wide and we have massive fold equity at micros. Versus solver strategy, we don't have massive fold equity. But if we decide to check, then when just 1/3 of a bet, we have just a cut shot, double cut shot. With a double cut shot, I'm fairly confident that solver might want to call because check folding this hand means that he's just check folding a lot of stuff. And it is a call. And none of the hands wants to raise. So he's never check raising. He's check calling pretty much everything, even a nut flush, which is curious. Well, I don't question, but 2 out of 2. Not bad start. Another monotone board. Now we are on the big blind. We are the one with the red circle. And UTG has opened. We have called with ace 10 10 deuce. And the flop is 5-4 deuce. Do we want to donk here or not? And now I'm trying to remember how does Sommer want to play these situations. I think Sommer wants to have a bit higher blocker to donk this. But I could see someone donking. If I was here at Micros PLO, then I would not donk. And neither does Solver. Well, even with not flush, well, it still donks. 1 out of 3 times with the not flush. Well, I'm on a roll because last time we did this, I got 1 out of 5 hands only. Quick learner. All right. We are in position, blind versus blind. Oh, I don't have the option to raise 50%. That's what I would do here almost always, unless the opponent is someone I know, because he bets half a pot if we raise to 18, which is pretty much 3 times this one. Well, it's probably this, I don't know. I think that by making half a pot raise it would be 18, but I would definitely raise 18 here. But not sure if Sommer wants to raise. I hope he does, because it's awesome spot just to raise, and there's not much he can do about it. No, he wants to fold. Oh, Solver! Blind versus blind in position. I would never fold here at micros. I would raise because at micros he won't call without an 6 most of the times. And his half a pot c-betting range is super wide here. Can be up to 100% of his hands. So in reality at micros, this is definitely a call or then a raise. But remember Solver plays against another solver strategy player. So it tries to find the balanced strategy versus himself, which is different than in actual life. But we don't get a point here today. But in reality, oh, that's a bet 10 out of 10 times or raise. Um, Out of position, we have pre-flop opener, blind versus blind, and we check this flop. If we have ace jack 5-4 on this board, we are check folding. Yeah, hard to see that we would have other plans because we don't have any blockers. And if we had an ace jack 5-4 with a flush draw, meaning middle pair, open ender, middle pair cut shot and a flush draw, then it would be a call. And we, sorry, and with suited ace, it becomes raise 1 out of 3 times. So we check raise ace jack with suited ace. Oh, 10-5-5 with 2 backdoor flush draws. Oh, solver. I would check raise here and create millions of dollars over the years. Because once again, it's a board he doesn't hit often enough, but he's c-betting here tons. That's how people do at micros. And you can attack that very frequently at micros. But solver probably wants to fold or call with the backdoors. But it folded the last time. Why would it change its mind? Fold is the answer. No, well, yeah, at solver strategy, it is the answer. In reality, you miss a lot of money when you give up all of these paired boards, which solver likes to do frequently. So here we can see how solver strategy differs from what I would call optimal strategy for micros. And that's what would be the word? The dangerous. If you think that, like some people think that playing with solver strategy is the best possible approach and the best possible strategy. The thing is that versus someone who plays solver strategy, then attacking these boards with too high frequency is a bad idea. But versus actual players at micros who are very unbalanced with their c-betting on this board, attacking these boards generates a lot of profit. Like this would be a half pot c-bet every time, and the opponent is going to fold very often, or often enough that you can generate instant profit instead of check folding these flops. Like check folding this flop with hand that misses the board is really bad strategy compared to bet half a pot always at micros, small stakes, because people don't have any balance in their ranges and they don't fight back. If they won't even see that you are c-betting this board with high frequency. No one knows that. A couple of people might know, but they adjust in the wrong way. They don't know how to adjust, and so on. So solver strategy is a fine base point. It's good to understand. Then you understand how other reps who try to play solver strategy, how they think, and what is a strategy, how to exploit them. But this is one area that if I was on the button and cutoff opens, I call, and then the preflop opener checks this flop. My default would be to bet half a pot and see what he does. And if he check folds these flops over and over and over again, I would just print money out of him. But solver, the reason why it's check folding so much is that solver assumes that the button is c-betting here with same frequencies as solver itself would, and solver wouldn't c-bet these flops very often. It would check back a lot. So remember, solver plays against itself. So it's really interesting. I, I wouldn't check this flop. I would bet because monotone boards, if we bet half a pot, if opponent folds 1/3 of his hands, we start to make profit. And on average, they are folding here around half of their hands at least. And versus their calling range, pocket aces has some showdown value. So this would be easy C bet. And micros, solver wants to check, and to 1/3 as he's probably check folding, and no, it's check calling with ace 6 5. Oh, that's going to create a nasty turn situations. So out of position, instead of C betting monotone board, it's check calling with pocket aces. Well, solver doesn't think about playability, it just thinks about range, the equity of ranges. Because it can make perfect decision on the turn and river versus opponent range, but as a human, if we check call this flop, then we sort of have to hope he checks turn and checks river. And out of position, I think check calling this flop is a strategy that is going to backfire in reality unless you are superhuman. I would definitely bet, but we didn't get a point. So you can see that I'm disagreeing, or not disagreeing, but there are several spots, especially paired and monotone boards, where solver strategy is not optimal for small stakes, PLO 10, PLO 5, PLO 2, maybe PLO 25, and so on. Well, now it hits the flush, so you can see the balance here. It doesn't bluff this board, and then it check calls with most of its flushes. It probably bets only high spade blockers and then some high flushes and then check calls with the wide range. So it's not attacking the board, it's defending its checking range. So with the 9 high flush, it's definitely a check call. And then if it's Jack 9, Jack 10, 9, 7, with the 10 of spades, it wants to call, but with the 9 of spades, without the suit, with the 9 of spades, it wants to check raise. And now I don't get that one. Why would it raise Jack 10, 9, 7 without the spades? Why 9 and 7 is a raise, but with the 10 it's just a call most of the time. Yeah, we're blocking the Jack. And we are blocking the flush with 1 out. I don't know. That's the thing with solvers. You don't know. Solver wants to check raise Jack 10, 9, 7 with 1 spades. And we don't know why. And I wish someone could explain why 10 of spades is 66% call, but 9 of spades is 100% raise. Because I would hate to execute a strategy at tables where I don't know why it's done. Weird. Maybe we will get an answer over the month. Set of sevens, blind versus blinds. We open big blind calls. We even have the not cut shot. Why wouldn't we bet? Of course we bet. Now we are actually 6 out of 8 at the moment with our counter. Nuts. And we're on the big blind. UTC opens. Do we check call or check raise? I I would love to check raise, but I don't know if Solver wants to check call because the board is rainbow and protects its calling range. So I think it's a call. I would like to raise at micros, but I think Solver is going to call. So I'm going to select call because I think that Solver thinks that way. And it does. You see, it doesn't raise. Only if it had a backdoor hearts, there's a really small raise, and here it's a really small raise. So Solver doesn't want to raise nuts. Well, I would at macros I would raise. If he has a queen 9, he's going to stack off anyway with the sets and so on. But yeah, I understand why Solver wants. I'm quite sure that if the board was flush draw, it would raise. Who knows? Okay, ace ace king 7. Do we see bet this flop or not? Hello, Kellenus. We have a PLO Visions Quiz. I don't have any way for you to interact, so it will count points. So you can just think, what would you do? We don't have a delay, so you can just write in the chat what would you do, or if you have some comments. I'm a solver newbie. I don't know solver strategy, and that's what we are here doing. And then I'm going to spend a month trying to learn it, and then at the end of the month, I hope when we have the Visions Quiz at the end of June, I'm a lot wiser man. I would check, and someone wants to check. And it's very 50-50 with checks and bets. And yeah, it would bet when we start to have not flush draws or not flush draw blocker, because you see with ace of hearts there's a bet. But this was a check, and we got it right. Yay! Check 9-7 rainbow with ace 5-4-3. Why? Pre-flop paper bets. We don't have any blockers. This has to be a fold. And it is a fold. That's an easy spot. Ace 5-4-3, 100% of folds, no matter what the suits. Keon is asking, what is this? This is PLO Visions. It's a software made by Rollers Poker, Matthias Pum, that lets you to explore solver strategy based on macro solver calculations. So we can use the practice mode. It gives you the board, it gives you the hand, it gives you the action, and then it asks, what will you do? And then you select what will you do, and it tells you what solver would do, and did you get it right or not. And the reason why we are doing this is that I have this project on the June that I'm going to focus on learning solver strategy. I had PLO Visions for a month. I had PLO Matrix for a month, and yesterday I had confirmed an access to the PLO Mastermind course for a month. So I'm going to focus on learning solver strategy, and then after a month see, can we learn something from the solver strategy for the micros. And so far there's some spots that solver plays differently than what I would play at micros, especially monotone and paired boards. But those are the two opposites of our strategies, because we can play poker pretty much with two approaches. One is we want to deny opponents from making money out of us, which means that we try to be as balanced as possible. If we are playing perfect GTO balanced strategy, then no one can exploit us. So we want to be very unexploitable players. The other approach is that we exploit the shit out of our opponents. We say, fuck balance, let's attack opponents' frequencies. And the optimal strategy is somewhere in between. And it depends how well we know the opponent. Versus totally unknown, we can use very balanced approach for starters, or we can use strategy that is suited towards the average player of the player pool. And then when we know something about the opponent, then we start to adjust and start to exploit him. But the base strategy for micros, I would say that solver strategy is not a good base strategy. You should tweak it and see what's the average opponent and then try to find the optimal strategy for that average opponent. You get better results than by playing solver strategy, because solver strategy tries to find the optimal strategy versus another solver strategy, which is something you will never encounter at poker tables. I don't think there's a human on this planet that can execute a perfect solver strategy. But when we come to PLO, then no one is even near solver strategy. So here we have ace king then 9 with top pair, and we check, and I would check fold this. Yeah, we have nothing, not a zip. So we are running hard. I had 10 correct out of 12. That's awesome. Let's move that to there so it's a bit nicer. You can get PLO Visions by just googling PLO Visions. I think the site is plovisions.com if I remember right. I will put the link on my channel page when I remember to do that. And it's not a free, it costs some money. That's the downside. But if you really want to learn solver strategy, then if you get it, oh fuck, my chair seems to be broken. Something snapped. Um, if you want to learn solver strategy and get a 1 month and then do, let's say, 1 hour a day, so 30 hours of practicing, then it's probably worth the money if you want to learn the solver strategy. But for small stakes player who's not into solver strategy yet, it might be a bit complicated. Who knows? But yeah, this is practice mode, the learning mode. We will use those ones at some points. It's super nice too. So you can check how solver plays certain spots with frequencies and so on. Here, 5-3 deuce board. We open button. And oh no, we are on the big one. Sorry. And button opens. We call with queen 6-3. I think you can lead. I would probably check raise if I was on the micros, because he's not hitting the board. Often we have a blocker to 6, and we have the cut shot over pair. And if he checks behind, we know he doesn't have a straight. So that gives some visibility for the queens. But I have a feeling that solver wants to lead out here. No, it doesn't. Oh, you fucker. It only needs it if it has backdoor flush draw. Backdoor flush draw with the spade. Or just the backdoor flush draw, which we have. So it's going to bet 6% of times here. So sometimes solver leads and donks this flop. But it checks. I got it wrong. Down. Same kind of situation. We open UTG, we check this flop, and opponent bets half a pot. I wouldn't call, because playing pocket kings here is really hard. And neither does solver. he wants to check fold pocket kings too. In reality, we should check how often opponent folds to C bets, and if the number is 60 or more, you can bet half a pot here for sure. Monotone board with a king high flush. We open pre-flop from UTG, and now big blind donks 1/3 of the pot. Well, fold is probably out of question. Do we call or raise? And I'm not sure. I know that with not flush, it probably wants to raise. But what about king high flush? I'm trying to think that. Is it a call or raise? I don't know. Guys, help me out. I know it's either one. What would solver do? What would I do? Versus small bet, I would definitely raise. Because I would raise it with bluffs. But what would solver do? Does it want to protect this calling range with a king high? Oh, but there's 3 spades. Does that affect? Probably. Let's see. Yeah, oh, fuck. What does this arrow mean? Oh, yeah. So even without the 3 spades, it's 100% call. Wow. Well, it's all about balance. That's the idea of solver strategy. Finding balance instead of finding money. That's the different. And micros I would raise because if he has a flush, he's not folding it, and we want to stack him off. Yeah, we block. Yeah, his hand with 10 and 9 of spades, but even if we had just king and 10 of spades, without 3 spades, it's a call. It's a call with everything. Call. These are 100 pips deep. So all the numbers are half a blind. Yeah, I understand that he wants to call to let the opponent bluff, and opponent doesn't bet here as often as probably at micros. And yeah, it's all about balance. That's why it wants to call, because if it raises this, then his bluffing range and so on is unbalanced. I know how solver works, and we have position. Here's the difference. Solver wants to find balance. It wants to be unexploitable. And in there, probably this is because solver, it's like this. Solver wants to minimize losses. And our small stake strategy would be to maximize the profits. And that's the difference. If we want to minimize losses, creating balance lines, definitely call, let him barrel, protect our calling range, and so on. Because solver doesn't raise here that much. It's quite rare. Like you can see that on this board in position versus flop bet, it raises only 8% of hands, which is pretty much nut flushes and ace of spades blockers. But it calls 71%. And if I was on the small stakes, when I play, if opponent leads out here, I think he often has something, or he has total air. And if he has total air, it's one and done. If we call, he shuts down. But if he has a spade, or if he has a flush or set, he's going to call the raise always. If he has a flush, he's not folding at any point, which solver strategy is doing. So at small stakes, this is a raise versus unknown player, mandatory. All right. I don't get why this is prefab raiser bets half a pot on this board and we have nothing. I would be super amazed if this is anything but the fold. It is. Oh, oh yeah, yeah. If we have spades, it's a call. Even with the nut flush blocker, it's just a call. That's weird. Probably it wants to attack the turns then. Solver is like a god. It works in mysterious ways. Um, UTG has opened. We have called from the button, and on the flop he checks. We have king 10 10 6. Why would this be anything but the check back? And it isn't. Okay. Rolling. Hello, Clippy UK. I'm arguing here with the solver. We have a nuts here, out of position. Oh, not the nut, second nut, sorry. What would we do? Solver is an acronym. No, the solver is a pussy. Sorry for all the solver believers, but in the small stakes where 99% of your opponents are bad and unbalanced and doesn't know how to respond to your aggression, in that world, solver is a pussy. Uh, I think it's going to call here. He doesn't have the nuts, and I would call too. Don't go bananas with the second nuts. Um, Monotone board, preflop raiser checks. Oh, this is one of those spots where in reality, if cutoff opens, we call from the button, and he checks this flop. Then most of the times he's check folding or check calling. And if he would have the flush, many players would bet. So in small stakes world, in real life, this is bet always. Because he's going to check fold so often, so often. People don't protect their checking ranges. They don't have balance at small stakes. But as a solver, it doesn't have any blockers to spades. I don't think it's going to attack here. And it's not. You see here that if he had a spades, then it would bet. So I cut. I'm in your head, solver. I know how you think. Um, Similar spot. Opponent checks this flop. We have a cut shot with overcards. Yeah, there was a bet if we had at least one spades. Then it wants to attack. At small stakes, I would attack always. Because the opponent's check range is so unbalanced. Remember that. Oh, my voice. Remember that in the previous hand on the monotone board, uh, when the opponent checks, he's playing solver strategy. The opponent is a solver too, so his checking range is balanced. At micros, when opponent checks monotone board, he is very unbalanced. Um, Cut shot, check. 1 out of 10 times you make the nuts. Be happy to see the turn. But wow, it bets very often. So if he had the same hand with 3 hearts, it becomes bet 1 out of 3 times. But with just the backdoor flush draw, it's a bet only 1 out of 5 times. I fail to see the logic in that why we want to attack the board more often when we have 3 hearts instead of 2. I don't know. Well, at least we agree on the flop. A monotone board. Oh man. And micros, I would raise here, dance a little, and they chase money. But Sommer is not, because he wants to have, you can see here that raising, he either has the nut flush or nut flush blocker. That's his raising range. All the hands with ace of spades. Sommer doesn't adapt these boards. And micros, I would. Yeah, there's some reason on the solver. That's the thing. That's the, I don't know if it's the beauty of solver, but the interesting thing is that solver gives us numbers, but it doesn't give us explanations. And then it's up to us to figure out the explanations. And when solvers came, the results, the frequencies were different than what they are now. Because how the solver works is that you set up parameters for calculations. And then you let the cloud servers run for 1 to 2 weeks. And then you get some kind of answers. And then if you change those parameters even a little, it might change the answers. Yeah, solver doesn't account for stakes. The opponent is always a solver. And the finding is that solver doesn't care who's a brief or aggressor. That's the thing. Solver always thinks only range versus range, not the hand versus range. Often it's more of a range versus range, how it plays situations on the frequencies. And he doesn't care the brief of aggressor. So when the flop comes, it doesn't matter who's the brief of aggressor to the solver, as far as I know. So the opponents are always not the solver players. And that's why it plays so differently than what I would play at micros, because 100% of the opponents are nowhere near solver strategies. 100% of micros players are unbalanced, and really unbalanced. I mean, really. And micros, I will when opponents start to use these small sizings, this is what you see at micros nowadays. People watch Chain Andes videos where he used these 1/3 sizings that Sommer likes to use on very locked boards. Then people start to use it. But their ranges are very unbalanced. They make this 1/3 bet with almost all of their range. And what happens here is that you can make a 3x raise. You can raise to 17, which is 3 times the bet. And you're risking 17 half of BBs here to win 23 half of BBs. So you're risking pretty much 17 to win 23. And where's my calculator? I can give you the number. So we're risking 17 to win the total pot of 40. It has to work 43% of times. So what happens is that if we raise here to 17, an opponent folds half of his hands, we start to make a lot of money in the long run. And if they do this with most of their range, they have the flush maximum of 1 out of 5 times. So if they do this bet with most of their range, they are going to overfold to my raise. So at most stakes, raising here to these really small bets is super profitable. Because what I have seen is that when people make these small bets, they don't have the high flush. If they had a high flush, they would bet more because they want money. So this is very often a bluff. And that's why raising these is super profitable. But solver wants to fold here. I can't remember if I updated the counter. Probably not. So I'm rolling. I only got three wrong answers today. Yesterday, or was it day before yesterday, it was 1 out of 5 only. Okay. Pocket aces. Blind versus blind. Do we see bet this board? With all the backdoors, I would. There's no straight possibility. But solver doesn't. Fuck you, solver. Okay, let's see, what would it bet? The biggest betting frequency is that if he had ace of spades without any backdoors. Wow. Yeah, solver checks a lot out of position. I mean, I think the overall c-bet frequency out of position is around, was it? It checks a lot. The betting frequency was somewhere around 20 or something, 50. I don't remember. So it checks a lot out of position, and then it check calls and check raises decent amount of times. And in reality, where people play really poorly, I would like to see bet a lot out of position because we have immediate fold equity, and then we can barrel many turns to create enough fold equity. That's the difference between exploitative strategy and micros versus solver strategy. And Kyyberi is confused between betting when we have a backdoor equity or checking because we have a backdoor equity. Yeah, so am I. But that's how solver works. It, it finds the balanced. So just with blocker aces here, if we had blocker ace of spades and heart of spades of uh, ace of spades and ace of hearts, it would bet here 45% of times. But then with aces, like we have this kind of hand, we have one backdoor flush draw blocker. It would bet only here it checks almost always. So when we actually have a backdoor flush draw, it checks. When we have only blockers, it wants to bet. And the thing is that with PLO Visions, you can explore this situation. Like, sorry, um, you learn and put this board and see your overall strategy. You can put the board queen 8-7 via the proof appraiser, and then it gives you the overall frequency, and then you can just see with what kind of hands it bets, with what kind of hand it checks, with what kind of hand it check folds, check raises. Yeah, probably with 10-9. Let's see, ace, ace. Oh, unpaired out of position. We are not unpaired. Oh, this is for the flop. Sorry. We cannot change our hand. Let's see if it allows to change. Oh yeah. Okay, if we had ace ace 10-9 here, boom. Now it starts to bet pretty much everything. Yeah. Second time in my life that I'm using Visions. Thanks for helping out. Yeah. Yeah, and with the 10-9 you have the open ender to nuts. No, not to the nuts. Or is it this? It is. With the jack it's not. So yeah, with 10-9 it's you have 8 nut outs. And then we have pocket kings that we decide to check on this flop. And opponent bets fairly big. In reality, I would fold because there aren't many good turns or rivers. It's really hard to get the showdown with this hand in real life. So often what happens if we call the flop, we have to check fold turn or check fold the river. And solver wants to fold too, it doesn't. If he has a backdoor flush draw to the king, then it would call. What? Oh man, check this out. King Queen 4 3 with like here, King Queen 4 3 with uh oh, this doesn't make sense. King Queen 4 3 to clubs and spades is a call. King Queen 4 3 to clubs and spades is a fold. So why would it call with this hand and fold this hand? Press the arrow. What fucking arrow? I don't have an arrow here. What arrow? Give me an arrow. Next to King Queen 4 3. I don't have an arrow here. Oh, here. Yeah? Yeah, you can say on the back of flush draws. But I'm showing the hands. King Queen 4 3, 100% call. King Queen 4 3, 100% fold. But now you got me confused. What are you doing? I don't know. What's going on here? Frenchie, what did we do? That combo doesn't exist. Okay, now you got me confused. You need to help me out. What do you mean it doesn't exist? Does it mean that we would always bet it? How do you know that the solver didn't converge it? And what does this mean? Oh, I need to read the tutorial. I watched the tutorial. Okay, so this is the frequency, how often it is, but doesn't it show it here? No, 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 no. Doesn't it show here how often? Oh, it doesn't. It would be nice to know how often we have that component. You can see it at some point. I can't just remember where. Yeah, you can somewhere say that I'm not going to make this too confusing. I need to learn how to use this. But okay, it means that the combo doesn't exist because probably it would bet it. I think it's you can find it somewhere. Just can't remember now. And I'm probably going to broke the visions if I start to do that. Graduation cap in the middle. What? You're talking. You're talking Chinese to me. Graduation cap in the middle. Top right of the screen. Of the queen. Top right. Oh, there. And oh, does this mean that we have the hand 0.2% of times here? How can we have it 0.2 times when we open from cutoff? What? Now, guys, you are making my brains hurt. Does the Frenchie, you are the expert here. Does this mean that we have king queen 4 3 0.2% of times? That doesn't make sense. how can we have those kings with such a low frequency on cutoff versus button? Because if we open 30% and we probably open most of our kings, we should have it around at least 8% of times. Oh, wait, the exact hand. Oh, yeah. Now I get it, actually. Because we have pocket kings 8% of times. And then how many combinations of pocket kings we have? I don't even know. So that's if we have 40 combinations of different kings, then king 4 3 is actually 0.2% of our total range if kings is 8%. So it's actually not that weird. Because if we put all the kings, does it work? No. No. Why not? And the stars don't work. The X doesn't work. So we cannot just see how often we have kings here. That would be nice. Because yeah, king 4 3 is exact hand with the flushes. So it can be 0.2. But if we could see how often we have a kings, then the number would be probably around 8% or something, which is quite correct. So it's not that weird. No, it's not weird because it's the exact combination. Because we have king 4 3, we have king 4 deuce, we have king 5 3, 5 deuce, and so on and so on and so on. And when we add all of those 0.2 percentage, then there's be the right amount of kings. So it's not actually that uncommon how often we have king 4 3 exactly. If we could see how often we have king XX, the number would be higher. Because if the number is higher, like 5%, then all the possible king XX combinations would go over 100. Yeah, it is open. I just explained. Let's move on before my brain explodes. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'll send a video of this to the rulers and ask what is going on. Kianis wants to grind. Let's do a couple of more. Then we could play for a while. 876. We have nothing. Backdoor flush draw. Backdoor straight draw. On horrible flop. At macros, if the opponent is tied, you can stab once. I don't know what Sommer would want to do, but as we have pretty much nothing, only backdoors, then we have around 10% equity or so to actually make, or 10% of the times we will make something, then I would definitely bluff this board. And the Sommer wants to bluff too. Yay. Let's go to 30, and then we start to play some PLO. I need to play to relieve my brain. Jack 5-3. This is a board where I would see bet with high frequency at micros because of the board structure. The opponents don't hit this board, which means they are folding a ton. Of course, solver doesn't care about that. It just wants to have balanced frequency on this board. But you have backdoors, overcards. I would see bet this, but solver doesn't. Because solver doesn't want to make money. I understand why solver doesn't want to bet, but in reality at micros, I would see bet this board. look at the overall range. Yeah. Well, this is the thing that solver also plays the board with his range and opponent range. It's range versus range on the board, which means that solver checks 85% of this flop with his total range. He has a check frequency of 85%. If I was on the macros, I would have this opposite. I would bet this 85% of times versus unknown, or versus tight ones even more. Versus some players, I would even see bet 100 close to. But that's what the whole month is about. Exploitative strategy versus solver strategy, and learn from each other. Four more. Nothing rainbow board. Why not attack? Oh, sorry. We are out of position and opponent bets. It has to be check fold. And it is, because we have nothing. The thing is that when solver bluffs, it pretty much always has the blockers. Yeah, in reality, you could just raise here and print money. But solver wants to bluff with blockers and backdoors. Oh man. Well, solver has nothing, so it's going to fold, I know. But in reality, if opponent makes this 1/3 sizings, I would call a raise. I explained why raise is profitable versus like the better reps you could call, because if they bluff the monotone board, it's one and done. Only few players at small stakes make triple barrel bluffs with ace blocker. Very often they bet once and keep up, so you can call and see if he checks the turn you bet, so you make a float. But solver folds here, because it's a pussy. Oh, I need to make a t-shirt to my Twitch merchandise that says solver is a pussy. Oh, I'm going to make that one. Oh, that's my new slogan. Well, it doesn't matter if it's UTG or button or anything. He has the flush here maximum 1 out of 5 times. And as I explained earlier, you were probably not here. People make these small C bets with too high frequency on micros. They have seen on Chain and the videos that bet 1/3 on monotone boards, and he could do it with his whole range. If he had a high flush, he would probably bet more in reality at micros. Of course, now the opponent is a solver who has perfectly balanced C betting range, which is different. But in reality, his range is so unbalanced to bluffs that we could create a lot of money by just raising this as long as he keeps doing it. Two more. Button opens, call from the small big blind. Do we lead? This would be a flop to lead, but I'm not sure if solver wants to do that. And as solver is a pussy, it's going to check. Oh, I'm going to make so many people mad by saying solver is a pussy. I can't wait until someone comes to explain that, defending the solver strategy. Do you understand anything about poker and so on and so on? Oh, can't wait. One more. I don't know if it's check calling. Can you see it here? In the learn mode, you can. I'm not sure if you can open this in the learning mode. We open. Do we bet? We have 9 blockers, so definitely bet. And the solver does. Nice. 24 out of 30. I'm quite amazed. I was expecting to fail the quiz heavily. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, nice. An opponent makes a pot size raise. Oh, we should have used this one. Well, let's use it next time. Oh, it has to be fold. Yeah, bit fold. All right, nice. This is a powerful program. I can see people using this a lot because it's a really easy way to learn the strategy and explore. It's like when Poker Choose came out, it showed you the way to answer those what if scenarios. In Poker Choose, you could change the board and get the new numbers in 4 seconds. Previously, if you used just the old Oracle, it took a lot of time to rewrite everything. So with Poker Choose, you were able to explore the scenario, explore the situations without consuming a lot of time. And PLO Visions is kind of the same program because if you just have the macro solver or macro viewer, then exploring these what ifs takes a lot longer time. So it makes it easy. So I can see this program doing the same what Poker Choose did. And for those who want to learn, it offers a quick and easy way compared to the old methods. Wow. Okay, let's play a little poker. But there's no tables open. And run it once. So let's open one for heads up. Or if there was PLO 20 running just 1 hour ago. So let's play some at party poker and just ventilate my brains. There's too much solver strategy now for me. And on party poker, I should play more to get those rake backs. Um, I don't want to play on stars. I had few dollars there for the not racing's home games, and then I had 30 or something, and I went to play Zoom, and then had 3 suckouts to 2 hours in a row almost, and lost it. But I hate stars. No rake back. I I I hate. I don't wanna. I don't wanna blame stars. Uh, there it is. Pot limit Omaha and PLO 10. Okay, why is this so damn big? Yeah, well, Stars has 4% rake back, but now they increased the amount you need to get at least that one chest. So if you're not playing there on daily basis, it's hard to get even one chest. So for some players, there's zero rake back and Stars. Uh, 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 And let's forget solver strategy and let's start to grind. On here, he checked the flop, so I'm attacking. And of course, I hit the second nuts on the river. But the plan was to barrel or non-club hands. And he had 5 deuce. He had a straight. Damn, he had a second nuts on the turn. Wow. Lucky us. So he's low played. The first thing I'm going to do, as soon as I have time, which might be a challenging one, is to see how the solver opening ranges differ from the poker choose raise first in ranges that I have used a lot in when teaching people. So that would be the first thing, and then start to focus on flop situations on certain boards and so on. I need some music. What would be the song for the day? Yeah, I will get to that run it once thing in a bit. Let's take a classic. Oh, we timed out. Damn. Yeah, I know I'm on no delay. I I didn't want to mention it, but please don't go to tables and exploit me. Here we have the blockers to the 10-9, so I'm value betting my 6-4 versus flush draws and sets. So I'm on no delay, but if he probably has the 10-9 or 9 blockers. But if I get a feeling that someone is stream sniping, meaning that watching the stream to to exploit me, then I'm just going to close the tables and leave. So please don't do that. Because if I want to add the delay, we would need to restart the stream, and I'm not going to be here for long anyway today. Have to go shopping and making dinner and all those stupid, boring responsibilities that you have as an adult. Um, Kylanus was asking, and Kyyberi is asking about running ones. Yes, running ones is anonymous, so you don't know who anyone is. So you will see opponents as these avatars with random names, but they have dynamic avatars which the facial impression changes according to how they play. I need to reply to this message. Just a second. So is half anonymous. Oh, let's take that counter away. Sorry. So it's half anonymous. You can make notes. The notes last for I don't know how many hours they last, and in the future you will get the hand histories after 24 hours has passed. So you can use the hand histories while playing, but you can import them to your tracker. And I hate when people don't understand. Someone's trying to call me and I send a message that I can't answer, and then they call me right away. Here I 3-bet thinking 7-7. Not sure if someone wants to do that, but I want. And okay. Um, I think the kings is an out for us, and 7 is an out for us. And we have the flush draw, and And we need 30% or something. Ah, let's just get it in. Let's gamble. 7 was not an out. We had 36. That's probably not enough, but if he didn't have the flush straight draw, then we would have around 42 or something. So then it would be an easy call. That was a pretty close one. Not sure if we should have folded or not. But versus his range, if we have 40%, then it's close enough to be break evenish. Da-da-da-da. And running one's player pool, I've been talking about this earlier. It's way softer than I would have ever believed. Because I was quite sure that everyone who plays there is a member of Running Ones, because they haven't advertised anywhere. No one knows that much about them. Real Creationals doesn't want to play when it's on beta testing. There's a lot of bugs and glitches. So I was expecting for most of the players to be Running Ones members, which means that the player pool would be really, really, really hard compared to any other PLO 10, PLO 20 environment. But then I was amazed how many donation players there were who were just playing really poorly. I don't know if there's a higher stakes players gambling or just gambling addicts or what, but the player pool has been really soft compared to, let's say, Poker Stars. Of course, I don't know the stats or if I'm just running hot or what. Here we have AC's action, and he 3-bet folds. All right. Let's use the 6-high flush as a bluff catcher, which is aggressive player. And now let's wait a little. And then if he bets, I'm going to call. Woohoo! Queen, let's play tight. It's just the problem is that if we don't give action, he might leave, because if he's an aggressive player, he's looking for action. And if we don't give it, he just says that, oh, bummer. Open ender with overpair. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. I was hoping for a blank river. Well, that does it. Do we win? Yes, we do. What he had ace queen then 6 with for a cut shot. please bet. Oh, he doesn't. Well, we can bet now 2 pairs. There's nothing going on the party poker tables. I will show if there's some action. Oh, there it is. We open ace 10 8 8, and then we flop the nut flush draw with middle pair, and he folds, which is nice. I'm going to wait 5 more minutes, and then the stream will be 1.5 hours. So here is solver probably checks. I bet half a pot, and people fold often enough for us to print money. Here in the heads up table, flopping 2 pairs. Let's wait and then call. Oh, that sucks, because now our 2 pair is dead. Yeah, check is an option, but the thing is that if I know for 100% sure, oh, he bets big on the river, and I either have a straight draw or the ace, why would he bluff when he knows I have the ace? I think he has it. Better have some blocker. Yeah, it would be better, but the thing is that if I know for 100% sure that betting half a pot on the flop is plus EV, then to do something else, I need to be sure that checking is plus EV. And then if I check, opponent might bluff the turn because he thinks I'm weak, and so on. I'm much happier to bet the flop, make my life easy, collect the pot. But I definitely understand that if you want to be balanced, then you do need to check there and so on. But what I'm saying is that at micros, people overfold monotone boards. And you can increase your win rate if you just... I'm going to call the river. He might have the king 10, or he might be just bluffing. He potted the turn, which looks more like a bluff to me than value bet with king 10. And let's see if I'm right. No, he had the king 10. So this time he had it. But he could easily have king blockers there with that line. Now he folded button for the first time. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's starting up, and he folded his big blind, as far as I remember, for the first time. He's not bluffing the river. Because when I call the flop, I have the flush draw or a jack, so it's not the spot to turn any hand into a bluff. So there on the river, I'm very happy to just check fold it. Rappy hand, but let's play it. And we haven't check raised flops. I was about to check raise the flop and attack the board. We haven't done it. And still we haven't done it. And top pair, top two pairs. Ooh, nasty river. But it means also that it's really nasty for him to bluff. And he pots the river. We have a king blocker. Oh, tempting. Let's see if this works. If he calls with a small flush, then it's... Oh, he has the nut flush. Okay, so his pot size bet is for value. 2 out of 2. Pot size bet has been for pure value. So probably he's... Previously, when he has bluffed, he used 3/4. So there's a bet sizing tell. Let's see what he does. He hasn't been attacking these boards. So probably he's not that aggressive. I wish I could have some suits in this hand. Let's make a double barrel bluff here. No, we don't. Yeah, if it was high-low, then it would be nice. Wish we would have some hands to start 3-betting him. He has the flush. A couple of more minutes. This is probably not sure how profitable this heads up is to the rake. Because although we have a sizing tell, he's not super bad. Looks more like a tight rake that we could have edge over, especially because we can pick the pots on those locked boards with a high frequency. But the rake is really high here. And he donks. Yeah, but previously he's... I hate it. I would have hoped to have a blank turn and 10 bet. I think he has the flush very often. He had the queen. Okay, so he's not bluff happy. So he donks with the trips on paired board. So he's Mr. Honest, more or less. Here we make the nuts on the turn. It's a multi-way pot, and we need the flop. And I was checking, hoping that if he has a flush, he would overplay it, but that sucks when you're out of position. You have to give up value. Then we have queens. Here's one of those situations. Let's bet half a pot. And he folds. Works wonderfully. And then we have the set here. Let's check raise the flop. Nice little win. Here in the demo with Benny. Now Benny has made one buy-in for us, making one bluff and one bluff catch that we probably shouldn't do anymore when we know more about him. Uh, okay. What? Now he limps from the small blind for the first time. If he now has aces, then what a heater he has. Not making moves on those boards ever. Not sure if then we should have checked the king king 9 to induce a bluff. Now he's tightening up very, very much. He's really tight, so it's kind of hard to win a big pot without being a 3-bet hand. That's why, because in these in-race spots, he's not doing anything super crazy. So it has to be a setup to make money. Or we need to have hands that we can start to 3-bet with. Because in 3-bet pots, we can generate a lot of money. He doesn't have a straight because of the sizing, but he probably has something, which means that he's not folding. If I had 5-6, I would raise here, but we didn't improve at all. And just crappy hands. Short-handed tables suck when you don't get hands. Gut shot and a flush draw. That sort of kills our hand. Does he have aces? No. Ace high. And doesn't bluff the turn. Oh, we're being hammered. Penny checks. We bet half a pot. Should we check raise this flop? Oh man, now the ace came. And he had ace king. Oh, we're getting rolled over. Crushed. One more song. And then after this one, I'm going to close the session. Would be nice to play with these guys, but I needed to go. And thanks, Cartman. Quite crappy hands. We had all the aces on the party poker table without any action. Benny and Freddy crushed me. Poker hasn't been nice. We played a couple of 20 minutes or so. We played with PLO Visions earlier. So played poker for a short session, down 2 buy-ins on PLO then or so. Crappy, crappy, crappy. Yeah, no delay because we had PLO Visions. And just playing short sessions, so we have some poker playing. And I needed to ventilate my brains because we did over 1 hour with PLO Visions and my brain was hurt. So this is just a relief for my brain. Small session. I might come back in the evening at 10 p.m. or so with more poker. We have another heads up on party poker table where we are just crushing the opponent. Now we hit the flop. And now he checks. Oh man. Freddy, are you watching the stream? Bad boy. That would be a naughty thing to do. Okay, let's spice up the action to get something out of this before the song ends. Hit! Hit! Oh man, that another tree really hurt. Damn. If it was 5-3 something, we could make moves, but just can't here. Here we have the money in with the nuts. And he's drawing dead. Oh, he had 3 outs, sorry. Not dead. So we won. Small pot there. And here's the opponent that we're playing heads up versus. And 2 pairs is good versus him. And then we will see at the showdown if that's enough, but he probably made it straight. He's really tight. Here it's a 3-bet pot, and we hit top 2 with open ender. So let's see if Juan wants to overplay aces. No, he doesn't. And then we have a hand on run it once table. We flop the nuts, no action, and now the song ends and the stream ends. So let's play. Last hands. And the session ended up probably 2 or 3 binds down. Short session. Huh. So that's all, and check the Twitter. I will always put on Twitter when I'm streaming, or then enable the notifications if you're following the channel, so you will get an email. It often goes to the spam folder, so make sure you check that one. Or or then just be active on the Discord there on Run It Once channel on the streamer room. I will say when I'm online. And we don't make a full house here. With sucks. With all the outs. If Nyashka was throwing to the flush, he beats us. And I don't think he bets any ace queen here. What? He called ace a6 board. Oh, oh man. He called ace a6 c bet with pocket tens. Alright. Awesome. So stay tuned. There will be a normal poker stream later tonight. Was that the last hand? Yep. And then on the last table, there's no hands coming up. That was the last. So let me see. Well, on Party Poker, we lost $2. There was the one hand with the nut flush draw that was close to break even, didn't hit this time. So thanks everyone, and follow the channel, check the Twitter. You will know I will be online late at the evening. Just not sure what the actual time is. Might be 10 p.m. or later. Who knows? But stay tuned. Thanks for joining. Have fun and bye bye.